Hey, pre-AP 10th graders. I wanted to take a second and go over the teacher notes for Unit 1 so you have a clear idea of what you need to do this unit. Hopefully that will help you in getting started. As you see here, I have up our class website and I'm on our teacher notes page for Unit 1. So let's just go through. So of course you're going to have C notes. Remember, those are always linked in page 1 of every lesson. So let's look at what those look like. And I actually went over these in the C notes video because that just happened to be the example I used. But you're gonna take notes on archetypes, tone, diction, symbolism, and theme. So lesson 1, lesson 4, lesson 6, and the teacher notes link in lesson 8. So just a heads up on that. Remember, you will turn in this C note document in your very last lesson, which is your test. You'll copy and paste the link in your last question. All right, so C notes. So lesson 1, of course, on page 2, you have some C notes over archetypes to take. Several of you guys have already gotten to the discussion board that is at the end of lesson 1. A couple of notes on that. Number 1, your teacher notes here say that you have to respond to another student, so make sure that you're doing that. You need more than just an original post. And then number 2, please respond with something more than, oh yeah, awesome, I agree, or great thoughts. I'd really like to see you interact with the other student's response. So clarify, agree, disagree, elaborate. Those are all great ways to respond to a post, but I want to see some more content involved in that response rather than just like, awesome job, okay? Lesson 2, no real changes. Just make sure that you're reading the creation story that's there in the literature. Remember, in every lesson, the most important part is the actual literature that they have linked for you to read. Those are the things that always show up on the test. Types of nouns from the grammar section are also going to be tested, so you will want to check that out. Lesson 3, you have C notes to take over symbolism from No Dogs Bark, so you want to check that out. Lesson 4 is skipped for you, and Lesson 5 is Crossroads, which is a play, kind of interesting play. Definitely read that. That is going to show up over and over again in your unit test and your whatever quiz or quick check is at the end, and then again on the semester exam. So important to really make sure you get that. Lesson 6, Tourist Center. You are taking notes here over tone and diction. So you want to heads up on that. Also, when you're reading this, just because there's some confusion sometimes on this particular poem, this is a Canadian who is in Boston looking at a display about Canada. Okay, so basically a Canadian looking at what Americans think about Canada. So keep that in mind as you're reading it, otherwise you might be confused a little bit. We're skipping lessons 7 and 8. No big changes in lesson 9. Lesson 10, I skipped the lesson for you guys that talked about theme. So I do have a Prezi here that I've made that you can go over that kind of walks you through theme. The main point on theme, guys, is that it's not just one word, love, desire, hate. It's the author's message about that. Okay, so that kind of goes over that and gives you some examples. You don't have to do any of the assignments that are in that Prezi. Just go over what theme is and look at the examples and take notes over that. All right, lesson 11 is your test. Tests are almost always modified and adapted, and this is the case here. I've given you the answers on 2 questions because those come from lessons that we skipped. Your 2 short answers at the bottom both need textual support. It's fine with me if you open up your textbook, your literature book, in a different browser window. I think you'll have to do it in a different window for it to open. And then you pull quotations to support whatever response you give. Okay, so very important, make sure that you pull textual support and then also that you explain that textual support. Don't just throw a quotation in, go back and explain what does it show, how does it prove your point, and elaborate. A note here, answers that are only 1 to 2 sentences won't receive passing marks. So you want to make sure that you really do a thorough job, err on the side of too much rather than too little. And then at the bottom of your second answer, you want to copy and paste your C Notes link, because remember, that's a grade as well. That's it for your mods or teacher notes for Unit 1. If you have any questions, please let me know.